good morning. It is time for FYI. He just rushed through the door. Gary DeLacy, Superintendent of Schools for Clinton. And, of course, an exciting time for you, Gary.
It is. Back to school. I'll be honest, in my position, this is probably one of the busiest times of the year. It'll actually slow down on the first day of school for me. Right now, it's just a matter of making sure the buildings are ready to go. We finished up all the summer projects. Our new teachers started on Monday, so they're going through their in-service. I've had an opportunity to talk to them. They've been trained in capturing kids' hearts the last 2 days. We have the all staff will be starting tomorrow morning at 7:30, so we get everybody back. It's the one day all of the entire year where we get everybody in one place at once at Vernon Cook Theater, kind of a kickoff and on those things. And then obviously for me, it's going to be the last of each one of these things as it goes through. So I'm kind of trying to enjoy the ride, but I'm also going to sprint through the finish line.
You, of course, have been involved in education for a number of years as a teacher coach, also as a principal, and now as a superintendent. So take us through the steps of the various first day of school at those three different levels.
Yeah. Well, for the teacher part, there, it really, and I see this from a superintendent's angle, it's very different between the different levels. Like elementary teachers have been in their rooms already. You got to get your room ready and get it decorated and ready for, so they come in weeks early and, they peck away at it and do that. High school, they'll probably show up tomorrow for the first day and that kind of thing and say, oh, here we go, and go through that process. Check, obviously, I know as a high school teacher going through that, a lot of it was looking at the class list, making sure do I have enough textbooks? Do I, have enough of those things? Looking at how many kids have signed up for my classes and what's going in that direction. From a principal level, you're really busy right now. A lot of them are meeting with their teacher leadership groups, kind of setting the tone for the year. What are the things that they need to work on in that? They've built schedules. I know class lists went out yesterday for the elementary. So, get those class lists, and that's always a big thing at that level, like what teacher do I have for this year, and those kinds of things. So
who are the principals right now for the Clinton schools?
Okay, so high school would be Teresa Schultz. And then she has a few assistants, which would be Matt Tobin and Jamie Schroeder. And then they've been assisted. We got an activities coordinator, which is Kevin Bear. And then we have an at-risk person in Sarah Irwin, which kind of a quasi-administrative role. At the middle school, Andy Princeton is the head. And he's got two assistants, Tyler Kruger and Mindy Dunlap. And then we have four elementary principals, Brian Kinney, J.R. Kutch, Christy Cooley, and Dan Boyd.
How are things working for J.R.? He's getting ready for his second year now at the elementary level.
I think it's an adjustment to go from high school mentality to elementary. That is just like 180 degrees different. And there's advantages of both. I mean, I always loved the maturity of that 15 to 18-year-old as they're growing up to young adults. A lot of people love the innocence of the 6th, 7th, and 8-year-old who are genuine. I mean, they are genuinely excited about school and fired up. And I think that's one of the things that we got to still figure out, not just in Clinton and everywhere. How do we keep that genuine excitement of school that we see in those early grades into those upper grades? So I think JR's adjusted pretty well. He had an excellent first year, has things to work on just like everyone else does, but looking for a strong year or two at Jefferson.
My grandson goes there, and Owen likes him. He goes, JR's a good guy.
Yeah.
Or Mr. Kutch is what
yeah.
he says. He doesn't call him JR. So now I want to talk about this keynote speaker that you've got coming in for tomorrow when everybody gets together. Tell us about this.
So first time ever that we're doing this, and it all stemmed from last March. The AEA brought in Stephen Peters, and he did a presentation to the superintendents and principals at the AEA. We have a leadership group, and very inspiring, really talked about a lot of his background as a principal and superintendent were in low social economic areas, things that he did to engage parents, like a parents' university, things to empower kids of poverty. He talks about a gentleman's club, a ladies' club. There are some definite things that he put on the table that really kind of inspired my administrative team. And one of the messages after that is we need to have him speak to our entire staff so everybody can hear that message. And another thing he'll talk about is, you never raise the bar with low expectations. And so much of his messaging is like, well, that's common sense, but he just says it in a different way. And a lot of the things he's saying are things that I say all the time, but just having probably a different person tomorrow that says it a different way, talks from a different perspective. But it should be really relational to our staff in terms of his thoughts about public education and how we should be approaching things. I'm very excited for our staff to hear him. He will speak to the entire staff in about an hour 15 session, and then we'll break off, and then he'll have about another hour just with the teachers, and he'll have a specific message for the teachers. So very excited about that. We're actually, the administrative team will meet with him tonight for supper and just to informally get to know him. This leadership group that the AEA has developed will extend it in this year as well, and he is one of the speakers 3 different times during the year for the superintendents and principals. So for my leadership team, it's going to be a consistent thing that and looking to implement some things throughout the year that I think align with everything that we're trying to do. And that's what I look at is we don't need to be doing something new, but can this guy give us more ideas of how to do things that we are currently trying to do better?
Where's he from?
South Carolina. His last gig was with Orangeburg, he was in the public school. They have a private school and a very racially divided and a very district of high poverty. And he actually has a BBC came in and did a documentary, a 6-part documentary. So if you actually go look for him, there's a 6-part documentary about this year that he stepped in to try to redirect how things were going at Orangeburg High School. So
any idea how big of a community Orangeburg was?
Orangeburg, I'm not sure how big it is. I know the high school would be probably bigger than Clinton High School.
Okay.
In doing that, but he talked. So some of theirs is more racial, but the social economic piece I see is a very similar fit to us. We run about 65 to 70% free and reduced lunch here in Clinton. They may be a little bit higher, but some of those challenges that he talks about, I think, will be very relatable to our staff. And like I said, he'll bring experiences, but the thing I like is he'll give. Here are some things that we personally did here that made a difference, and I think plant some seeds. One of the things I'm hopeful I've asked him to talk about tomorrow is one of his comments is we allow parents to be consumers of school, and we need parents to be partners with school. And I feel that's so true. A lot of our parents right now drop the kid off at 8 o'clock, pick them up at 3:30, and you deal with them. And it's a partnership. And how do we get the parents to step up and work with the public schools in that partner? This is a partnership. We need to work together on your son or daughter's education. He'll give us some ideas on how to do that. That's going to be one of the areas I'm going to really zero in on this year.
Before we take a break for the weather, of course, he's going to be teaching, or rather speaking to the teachers and others. Does he ever speak to the public as well?
He does. Obviously, he has a speaking fee and things like that.
Yeah, right.
For us, we're obviously we have to show it through public purpose, and so obviously things that are direct I'm sure if we could find an organization that would be willing to bring him up here and pay his fee, we could make that work.
We're going to take a break for the weather right now. More with Gary DeLacy. It's updated by American National.
For your Thursday, we'll be tracking breezy conditions. Slight chance of a shower early this morning. Skies becoming mostly sunny for the afternoon. And highs in the low 80s. Clear and much cooler tonight. Temperatures dropping back into the low to mid 50s. I'm meteorologist Andrew Stutzky with your WQAD Storm Track 8 forecast.
Right now, 72 degrees. Our update brought to you by American National.
Kevin Schrader at American National is now offering lump sum cancer insurance. Cancer can happen at any time, and the cost associated with unexpected cancer can be overwhelming, so it pays to plan ahead. A low-cost cancer insurance policy will help pay for treatment costs and other unexpected expenses, so you can focus on your recovery instead of your financial situation. Call Kevin Schrader today at 563-244-0876 for a quote, or stop at 348 2nd Avenue South in Clinton.
Visiting with Gary DeLacy as we're getting ready for another school year. I always enjoy your talking points. They're very beneficial. You got back to school A, CHS the 18th, B, Clinton Middle School the 21st, C, the elementary school August 23rd. Why the breakdown on the dates?
Well, different approaches by all three. So that's why instead of just saying back to school night, it really is very different. So tomorrow night, Clinton High School will do their back to school, but it's going to be in conjunction. They're opening up the practices of the athletic team. So sort of that'll be tied in, but there's also going to be an opportunity to get into the school, find your locker, make sure the combination works, those kinds of things tomorrow night. So it'll be a big night at Clinton High School. We will also be introducing, and I think that'll be a talking point here, the Evolve Safety Weapons Detection Program will be introduced tomorrow night to the public. So if you're going to the volleyball or to the football, you will actually be walking through that system so you can kind of see how that works for weapons detection. So that'll be a piece of tomorrow night. Middle school is probably what you would consider the traditional back-to-school night. On Monday, the 21st, basically come in, meet the teachers, find your locker again, see if you can roll that combination and open your locker, check out, get your schedule, what does that look like, those kinds of things. And the whole premise of those back-to-school nights is to try to lower the anxiety of the first day of school. We do know a lot of kids, the anxiety kind of builds up, and that even though there's excitement, there's anxiety because of the unknown. So some of that is being able, and we hear this all the time, particularly at the middle school. They're worried about their locker. They're worried about their combination. Hey, come in. We're opening up the building for an hour and a half to 2 hours. You can try that combination multiple times until you become proficient and you feel like, I got it now, and to do that. And then we are trying something different with the elementary this year on the 23rd. Instead of that being the traditional first day of school, we are scheduling 15-minute interviews with the student and the parents throughout the 23rd. So instead of a traditional day of school at Clinton Elementary, you're going to schedule appointments, come in and have a 15-minute one-to-one with the teacher. And the reason we're doing this, and I did put out a news blog a couple days on this, we were just getting a lot of feedback, particularly at the elementary level. Parents want to relay information during back to school night about student learning needs, health issues. And if you've ever been there, there's a lot of people, it's overcrowded, and the noise level's very high. And a lot of that valuable information was not handed off because of those issues. And we just felt a 15-minute personalized one-to-one, we can get those things there and then have the student find their desk, do those kinds of things without what some people would call the chaos of that back to school night. And then the first full day of school for elementary at Clinton will be August 24th. The middle school and high school, the first day is the 23rd. So if you do have any questions, please reach out to your buildings. I do know that I believe there was communication sent out to set up those 15-minute meetings. I do know that the day at the Clinton Elementaries, we shifted more of a 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. on the 23rd. So some of those parents that are first shift would have an opportunity to not miss work, and they could still get there at the end of the day. So, and I know if the teachers and principal will be flexible if it doesn't work for the 23rd, although we would like to get the majority of those meetings done on the 23rd. So when we come in the 24th, we're all on the same page.
Again, visiting with Gary DeLacy, Superintendent of Schools in Clinton. You touched on it briefly, the Evolve Safety Screening. Of course, we're going to be opening up the season, the 25th, hosting Davenport Central. I know we've talked about this in the past, the Evolve system. Is this something that maybe some of the other schools in the conference are doing or going to be thinking about doing?
I don't know. I believe we're the first in the state of Iowa.
Really? Okay.
And now it's very prevalent just to the east of us. Like I said, we visited a school, what I would call a Collar County school of Chicago called Revis High School, and watched it last year. And a number of schools in that conference had adopted it. The Chicago Cubs are using this exact system right now for screening, and it uses artificial intelligence. And so I was looking for something that wasn't a metal detector, because I don't know how we were going to get 1,000 kids into the building on time if they had to empty their pockets, your keys, your cell phone, and anything that would trigger off a metal detector. Technology is based off the shape. So it's looking for the shape of a weapon, and if you're not carrying anything in the shape of a weapon, you just walk through. And we're going to introduce it tomorrow night. So the public at least gets a little bit of a sense of it. First day of school, August 23rd, we will use it at Clinton High School. Okay. Part of it will be education too. You know what? If you're carrying something that might be real straight, that it could detect that. Is that a knife? It could go off. We'll take a look at that, pull it out of your book bag or whatever, and have you walk through and then make sure that it doesn't go off. There will be a few plus sides to this. I believe Teresa Schultz is going to allow students then to take book bags from class to class, which is something they used to do, and then because of school safety, we decided not to do that. So that they'll have some of that option. And we talked about clear bags coming into our football games. That won't be necessary anymore because of this technology, so you don't need a clear bag. However, we will have signage up, so concealed carry situation will not be acceptable. And say, well, this is Iowa, this is concealed carry. That the school district has got the discretion in terms of no weapons on the campus, and we will have signage up, and so that you're not going to be allowed to do a concealed carry. Unless you are actually a police officer and something like that, and we'll have police officers there and available. I believe with this technology, Clinton High School will be the safest school campus in the state of Iowa.
Very good. Again, that scrimmage is going to be with Comanche. So I always park in the back parking lot just to the south of the football field. It's kind of tore up a little bit. What about the parking situation for football games, Gary? Are they still going to be able to use that grass lot that used to be where Franklin...
and we don't own that grass lot.
Oh, you don't?
We don't own Franklin Field. So,
okay.
So I would advocate people don't. That's owned by a private citizен.
Okay,
so
I didn't realize that.
You shouldn't be parking in there, and I know parking gets to be a problem. Even though the south parking lot is tore up, it is open, and we would expect people to park in that lot. Obviously, the north parking lot is wide open. There is a lot of construction going on right now on 8th Avenue South, but they should have a way to go from the north parking lot across 8th Avenue South to walk into the games. Another thing is, because of this Evolve system, traditionally the visitors have went in on those east exits will not be an option anymore. They will go through the west exits where the home side is, and then they will use the track to get to their side. We only have 2 of these Evolve systems, so everyone will go in that direction. Obviously, the parking lot behind the home bleachers, I believe a lot of that's used for the athletic sponsors and boosters and things like that. Right. That should be fully utilized as well. And obviously off-street parking. If I know it'd be a little bit of a walk, we do have that new east parking lot. It'd be a little bit of a walk, but there's 75 parking spaces on the east lot, but you would have to obviously walk across the front of Clinton High School to do that. It'd be a little bit of a walk, but that parking lot's available as well.
We got about 5 minutes left in the program. Thank you for coming in. I know how busy you must be at this time of year. Let's get that facility updates, Gary.
So, we are doing major HVAC renovations for air quality for Bluff and for Whittier. Those will extend into next summer, but we have closed those at this point for the obviously the school year. So for those 2 buildings, over half of their buildings have had a major HVAC upgrade. And so they've got, technology gets better all the time. And one of the amazing things is I walk in, I was like, that's the size of the boiler now, which is like less than half of the old boiler. And it was like, yep. I mean, and guess what? It's, twice as efficient and those kinds of things. And hopefully it'll be more effective on that. So that'll get completed next year. But for at least those buildings, the portions that were redone this summer, those have been done. And hopefully those teachers and students will enjoy that enhancement. Whittier's playground was finished up, and they will have a dedication on August 31st from 11:30 to 1 to open up that playground. Bluff's playground, I believe by the end of this week, the cement will be finished, and then starting next week, they will put on the rubberized surface. They got to let that cure a little bit, so it won't be open for the very first few days of school, but I'm guessing right around Labor Day, that one will be opened up. That would put all 4 elementaries will now have what I would call a weather...
So they don't have the old monkey bars like what they had when we were in school?
Well, I think the thing that the principals are excited about is no more wood chips. I mean, and the wood chips, kid would fall and get scraped up, and they get dragged into the building, and they really weren't very clean. And quite frankly, if you walk on one of those surfaces, if you did fall, you're probably going to bounce. I mean, it's amazing how spongy it is. You feel like you're on a trampoline. So those would be done. We are about 2 weeks away from the new bus barn being completed out there. We plan to have an open house once we're fully moved in. I'm guessing sometime in September, October, we'll have a public open house so they can see that facility. We will do a much better job of maintaining our bus fleet, which I think will be a long-term savings for the district. I'm really excited about the wash bay. This is one area that our vehicles the state inspector comes in and they'll rule vehicles off until we fix. And the biggest reason they get is because of rust. Yeah. And we have not been able up to this point to get underneath them and really get the stuff off them. And now we'll have an opportunity to do a much better job with that. And I'm hopeful that we'll get another 3 to 5 years out of a lot of our vehicles, and that will be a long-term savings for the district. And then the last thing, if it's hard to see right now, but I think it's 11th Avenue South. If you're up on the hill and you want to look down, first of all, it's hard to get your bearings because the old 1919 building is gone. But you now are seeing the footings and the foundation being put in place for phase 2 of Clinton High School. And then they've dug a big hole there that I was like, what's this hole for the other day? And they said, that's your new orchestra pit. Oh, so you can see the future home of where the orchestra pit will be. And it's moving pretty quickly. Now that the demo is done, you're starting to see the next phase go up pretty quickly.
How exciting. Thank you so much, and have a great school year as you get ready to...
You as well, Gary. And
Yeah.
again, thank you for covering the River Kings and Queens. It'll be an exciting season. Talked to Nate Herrig this morning. He says, I think we're ready to go. And I said, well, you got a full week yet. Let's make sure we're ready to go. But I do know they have that scrimmage tomorrow night, so that'll be interesting to get a little preview look. I'm sure anytime there's a scrimmage, you get to go against a different team. All of a sudden, you'll get kind of see some things that you didn't see in normal practices. And, I'm excited. There's always that optimism of the new season. You get that in schools where you get that new beginning every year, and you feel that excitement and optimism right now.
All right, thanks again.
Listening to AM 1340 KROS, Clinton, Iowa.
FM 105.9.